Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into one of the most critical skills any analyst can have, finding the real reason something's broken so you can build a fix that actually lasts. Because a fix that breaks again in a month, well, that's not really a fix, is it?
Oh, we've all been there, right? You get that little notification blaming traffic, and it just feels a bit too convenient. It's the perfect scapegoat. But a great analyst knows that the first excuse is almost never the whole story. Their job isn't to just report the symptom, it's to launch a real investigation.
And that's exactly the situation we're jumping into at our fictional food delivery company, Hungry Now. The ops team just flagged a huge problem. In the last 2 weeks, late deliveries have suddenly spiked by 15%. That's a massive jump, and they need an answer like yesterday.
So, let's put on our detective hats. First, we'll look at the usual suspect. Then, we'll start the real investigation, gather some hard evidence, and actually crack this case. And maybe most importantly, we'll figure out how to make sure this never, ever happens again. Okay, so our story starts where a lot of these investigations do, with a quick, easy answer that's already on the table. The operations team? They are pretty sure they already know what's going on.
And there it is, the prime suspect, traffic. It makes sense, right? It's external, it's totally out of their control, and it's a believable reason for delays all over the city. Case closed? Not so fast. See, this is the trap. Accepting that first assumption without any proof is where so many teams go wrong. We have to challenge it.
And this, my friends, is where the real work begins. Instead of just shrugging and accepting the easy answer, we need a framework, a structured way to dig deeper. It's time to peel back the layers of this problem and get past the symptom of just lateness. So to do this, we're going to use the classic 5 whys technique. We start simple. 1. Why were deliveries late? Okay, because the drivers were delayed. Fair enough. 2. But why were the drivers delayed? Well, it turns out restaurant prep times were way up. 3. Why did prep time increase? Because order baskets were suddenly bigger and way more complex. 4. And why were the baskets bigger all of a sudden? Aha! A new meal deal promotion just launched. So for our final, 5th why was this promo a problem? And there it is. Marketing launched it without ever checking if the kitchens could actually handle that kind of demand.
And this one sentence is a perfect way to summarize that whole journey. We didn't just stay at the surface level, at the symptom of lateness. We used a framework to get to a deep organizational cause, a total misalignment between a marketing promo and operational capacity. That's the power of just asking why. Now look, the 5 whys gave us a really strong hypothesis, but a hypothesis isn't proof. To really convince people, you need to build an airtight case with cold, hard evidence. We need data to prove our theory, and just as important, to disprove that original traffic theory. First stop, the database. We run some SQL queries to compare restaurant prep times before the promo started and during it. And the numbers? They didn't lie. There was a clear, undeniable spike in prep times the second that campaign went live. And here's what that data looks like. The story is crystal clear. Average prep time jumped from a pretty good 8 minutes all the way up to 12 minutes. That's a 50% increase. Now, 4 extra minutes might not sound like a disaster, but multiply that by thousands of orders, and you've just created a massive bottleneck in your entire system. But we had to be sure, What if this was just a random fluctuation? So we ran a t-test to check, and the results confirmed that the increase was statistically significant. That's just a data speak way of saying, nope, this was definitely not a coincidence. The campaign was having a direct, measurable impact. Okay, now for the final piece of evidence. This is the one that really dismantles that whole traffic theory. We mapped out where all the late deliveries were happening. See, if traffic was the real bad guy here, you'd expect to see clusters of delays around known congested areas, right? But instead, the delays were spread out evenly across the whole city. This wasn't a traffic problem. This was a system problem. So we have all the pieces now. We have our theory from the 5 whys, and we've got a solid stack of data to back it all up. It's time to put it all together and finally reveal what really happened. This is the aha moment. Here it is, the complete chain of events. It all starts with the promo launch. That leads directly to bigger basket sizes. The bigger baskets cause kitchen prep times to go up, which means drivers are stuck waiting around for the food. And the final, predictable result, that 15% spike in late deliveries. It's a perfect, clear line from cause to effect. So here's the final verdict. We started with a simple, convenient assumption, an external problem, traffic. But the evidence led us somewhere completely different. The problem was internal, caused by a marketing promo that totally overloaded the system's capacity. And that is the difference between just guessing and doing real data-driven analysis.
But listen, finding the root cause, that's only half the battle. A truly great analyst doesn't just walk in and say, hey, I found the problem. They say, I found the problem, and here's a plan to make sure it never, ever happens again. So the solution wasn't no more promos. It was about breaking down the walls between the teams. We created a simple go, no-go checklist. From now on, before any campaign launches, marketing has to forecast the demand. A dashboard automatically checks that number against real-time kitchen capacity. And the final step? Operations has to give the official sign-off. It forces everyone to be aligned. And to make sure this new process actually sticks, we defined who owns what using a RACI matrix. Marketing is responsible for designing the campaign, but operations is ultimately accountable for signing off on the capacity. The data team is consulted for their insights, and engineering is kept informed. This simple chart gets rid of any confusion about who needs to do what. And the results? Well, they speak for themselves. After putting these new controls in place, late deliveries dropped by 11%. We're almost back to normal. And even better, complaints related to promotions plummeted by 32%. This is the kind of measurable impact that proves the real value of doing a proper root cause analysis. And when you boil it all down, it really just comes down to this. It is always, always easier to find a scapegoat than it is to find the real root cause. But fixing the scapegoat solves nothing. Fixing the root cause, that solves the problem for good. So that just leaves one last question for you. In your own work, right now, what's that one obvious assumption that everybody just accepts? What's the traffic excuse that might be hiding a much deeper, more important problem? Go find out.